All right, guys, welcome to another episode of my Uzi podcast. My guest today, professional wrestler Matt Cardona. Matt, thank you for coming on to my show. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, man. I came across you on social media a couple months ago, and then I realized, this guy's from fucking Long Island. Then my brother's like, yeah, he went to our gym. Then my uncle knows you. I'm like, small world, right?
Absolutely small world. So you're from Merrick, right?
I grew up in Merrick, born and raised there, and then I got the hell out of New York about 7 years ago. I could not deal with shoveling snow anymore. I said, fuck this, and left.
So the crazy thing is, I'm sitting inside before all the podcasts. I think, I don't super script anything. I just let everything grow organically like I was saying before. I'm like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, all the stories I talk about with the hardcore gyms, me riding my bike in the snow like the guy walking barefoot to fucking school and all that shit. I go, Matt, your dad owned the fucking first gym I ever went to, was the Ultimate Gym.
That's
I was like, the irony of that, right? Do you remember that gym at all, or were you too young for that?
I do remember, but I was so young I couldn't lift weights. I was probably like a baby to like 5 or 6, but I remember maybe a little older than that. But I remember being there, just being behind the counter, seeing everybody all jacked up, and I just fell in love with just that atmosphere then. These larger than life guys. And then every once in a while, my dad would like get a wrestler to come in if they were in town, or back in the day, WWE, it was called WWF, and they started something for a couple of years called the WBF, the World Bodybuilding Federation. Mm-hmm. And my dad was friendly with Tom Platz, and Tom Platz was involved with the WBF. Got my dad to be a judge. So my dad, as the judge, like met the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, and then convinced somehow the Macho Man to let us pick him up from the airport the next time he was in town. Mm-hmm. So I have these pictures, like with the Macho Man, I'm a little kid with the Macho Man T-shirt, and like at the time, being a diehard wrestling fan, you're meeting the Macho Man. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's dope, very dope. So you see all these things you talk about spark even more memories of that gym. And like, do you remember Crazy Larry? Do you remember him?
I do. Oh, Larry the Legend? How many were there? There were so many guys, so many gimmicks there, just
so
walking
many
gimmicks.
That gym was the best gym. So I always remember Crazy Larry at the front desk, and I was a kid. I started going to the gym very young, probably 13 years old. My dad actually had to sign a waiver for me to go there. And, you're asking all the older guys who had all the experience, like, what do I do? He's like, apple juice and egg whites. That's how you get big. Apple juice and egg whites. I'm fucking drinking gallons of apple juice because Crazy Larry told me. He used to wear the Mike Christian fucking headband thing.
Yes.
It was a great gym. He had other guys like Steve Mahalik, other pro Bibles in there, but I remember that gym was just a super hardcore gym. It was
embarrassing. It was embarrassing as a kid, though, when your dad's picking you up with like the Zubas pants and the stringer tank tops and picking you up from school. I'm like, Dad, come on, wear some real clothes.
To let everybody know, Matt's dad, Bob, was training still. Is he still in crazy shape? I haven't seen him in a while.
He still does shows. He was a cop. He's retired, but he built a garage gym. Still does shows. Still living the dream. Still clanging and banging. I love it.
And I also know Matt's uncle from the boxing gym went to, Chris, right?
Yes.
So he actually trained me along with Keith Trimble. Mostly Keith trained me, but Chris trained me a bunch of times. I used to fight on Chris's shows, and just a small world. And then like how, he's your uncle and that's your dad, which is crazy. Both gyms that I kind of grew up in, which is crazy.
Awesome.
And we never crossed paths. I'm from Merrick also, but Matt's a little younger, so we just never crossed paths. And I might have met you one time a long time ago, but I vaguely remember. So I saw you recently, and I didn't come up to you. And this is why I asked you, yo, bro, we actually said to him, yo, we're doing the podcast at my house. This time he's like, bro, I live in Florida. I'm like, oh, shit. we landed in JFK. You must have came home for something that weekend or whatever. And you were standing like, probably, when we're waiting for the bag, and the bag check, we grab the bag from the, when you check it in.
Yep.
And first when I saw you, this exactly, I go, look at this motherfucker. He does look like a pro wrestler. You fucking old handsome and shit with the beard, all pretty. And as soon as you were standing there, people fucking came up to you. Like wrestling
really?
groupies, I'm like, yo, fuck it. I'm not going to go up to them now. Whatever. I'll say hi to them another time, But funny. So Matt, we were having a conversation before. And I do recall him being the WWE wrestler. Yep. And then now you're an independent wrestler, correct?
Right. So during the pandemic 2020, WWE let a bunch of guys go, myself included. At the time, I knew this is what I needed. Blessing in disguise. Do my own thing on the independents. Listen, of course, there's nothing better than wrestling at fucking Madison Square Garden or, Giant Stadium. I've been there, done that. It was awesome. Hopefully get to do it again. But for now, I love being my own boss, doing my own thing. Like if I was in WWE, I'd have to ask permission to do this show.
Understand.
Someone would have to tell me yes or no. Like now I do whatever I want. I'm my own boss. Do I make a lot of mistakes? Yeah, but I take chances. I thrive. I learn. I grow, and that's what I need to.
Yeah, but from what I understand, also talking to Chris a little bit the other day, the independent league is pretty big and very known. It's very known.
I mean, it certainly can be. And listen, of course, like I've taken my WWE persona, my WWE name, and I've kind of like flipped the script on it. So like there, I was such as this, they call it babyface, the good guy, right? And I decided, okay, I'm going to use all that stuff that people love me for. Now these independent fans are going to fucking hate me for it. It's been a lot of fun. And I've said this in other interviews, like I don't care how you define success, like money, accolades, happiness. Like this independent run has been the most successful I've ever been, but I'd be lying if I said I never want to wrestle at Madison Square Garden again. Like for instance, I came home for Christmas, New York. I saw Uncle Chris, saw my dad, my wife Chelsea, she's in WWE. So we spent Christmas with my family. The 26th, she goes to MSG to wrestle, and I fly fucking home. Yeah, that sucked. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
But it is what it is.
So what I do recall is, when I really knew you from going on the map in wrestling and WWE, is I didn't know you when you first came up, right? But then all of a sudden, this fucking character who is Long Island came out, Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
Right? And you kind of reinvented yourself into this person, right? Yeah. And along those lines at the same time was kind of like that Jersey Shore was growing. Yes. So it was very popular with you. And did you come off of the Jersey Shore show?
Actually, that's what a lot of people think, but I was before Jersey Shore.
You were before
by a couple of months. But what happened was I was in WWE, and it happened. It's a roller coaster ride, right? There's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and the guys who reinvent themselves, those are the guys who survive and thrive. And
you did it well.
I take pride. Listen, you see my career from the beginning to now. There's so many different versions, but you have to do that, or else you get, left behind. But this particular time, I was doing nothing. It's probably like 24, 25. Being a jabroni on TV, whatever. But then, I'd be out in the clubs on Long Island, and I'd see all these guys with the spiked hair, wearing the sunglasses, the headbands, the pop collar. I'm like, I fucking hate these guys, but I could be this on TV and make everybody hate me. Because in wrestling, you need the reaction. You either be loved or hated. When they don't care about you, that's when you're not doing your job. I'm like, I know I could be absolutely fucking hated being this Long Island douchebag. So I was doing that for a couple months. Then Jersey Shore hits, and then it all kind of just blew up.
So really, you the first one. But what's crazy is that you got this idea, right, from you just telling me this now. And you're like, this is definitely fucking, we have where we live is unique. With that spiky hair and the fucking retards with their crazy accents that I probably sound like, right? And you took it and you exposed it all over the world, which is cool, and rode that persona, which is really dope.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I had this beautiful, long, flowing blonde hair, but I got to be totally different.
That's
I cut it,
went
to the barber, got the spike, and eventually, over time, it went from that tape-up hairstyle to just regular. I kind of morphed it into more me, the real me, and kind of blended it. And then, it was so hateable that people started to like it. And then I started my own YouTube show. Again, then that character stopped being used. That's what happens in wrestling. You're hot and then you're not. I'm like, well, I don't want to be not hot. So I started my own YouTube show. And this is at a time where social media was just booming.
Yeah.
And I was incorporating my real life friends and my dad as a character in the show, and the fans started to relate to me, and then they turned me into a good guy again, which is pretty funny because I wanted to be so hated, but because of the fans, they made me a good guy.
It's crazy. As soon as Matt and I started speaking on the phone, and even the last guest I had, I noticed as soon as someone opens their mouth, the tone of voice and how you sound, I'm like, no wonder why he's a wrestler. You sound like a wrestler even. Even my last guest I had on, the first 2 minutes he walked in here, I'm like, yo, this motherfucker speaks good and he's smart. I could tell right away when the voice is catchy for the camera. Even now, you and I speaking face to face, it's almost like you're professional at it. I'm kind of like newish, but not really.
Yeah.
I'm just naturally good at it. You have a certain way about how you're just so used to the camera. It's different. It's a different aura.
And I'm not a naturally like confident person. You know, in high school, I was like the shy guy. I certainly wasn't the popular kid. I was the kid who liked wrestling. And at that time, wrestling was not cool to like. I was backyard wrestling on my trampoline with my friends. You know, I was definitely like, even now, if you put me in a group of people I didn't know, I'd be very shy and timid. But I've been
You would
doing
never
this for
ever
so
think
long.
that. Ever.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, once it's practice makes perfect, right? So once that red light comes on, whether it be a wrestling show or a podcast, like I have to be on. I have to sell myself. That's the job.
You know, I was telling Matt before, I never thought I was a camera guy, ever, right?
Right. And
then me and Zane had to do a shoot in a gym where I was doing some exercise stuff, and there was some people around, girls, whatever, and I turned it up tenfold. You know, I'm like, fuck, I am good at this. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what that's how I found you on social media. Yeah, I forget who I was clicking on, and you came up, and I started watching some of your shit. Like, who the fuck is this guy? He's funny, he's real, he's authentic. I'm like, I like this guy. He just gave you a follow, and it just turns out I didn't know at the time that you were from Long Island, let alone from Merrick. I had no idea.
Crazy. Yeah, but it was funny how like Zane captured that. So, what the fuck was I just about to say about going back to wrestling, going back to sometimes, I have all these things in my head, and circling around was training. Back in the day when I was into wrestling too. That's like you were saying, like how you got into wrestling as a kid. When I was growing up, I always knew that like I wasn't really like a Matchbox car guy. Like when I first got into toys, I remember I loved wrestling figures.
Oh,
and even
bro,
before, dude, I had the old ones that were fucking like big, thick, giant, Big John stud figurines.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Those.
Bro, now I have my own toy company. We make them now. Everyone they didn't make back in the day, we make them.
Really, the old school ones with that. Not the moon, but yeah.
Yeah, we call them big rubber guys.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Even they had the little ones, and even like they made these ones called, what were they called? It was actually called Muscle, and they made these little mini.
Yes.
Right, you remember those? Yeah.
Bro, I never got out of collecting the figures. Of course, at one point, I did not tell people I was collecting the figures. When my girlfriend in high school was coming over, all the figures are on display in my closet. She doesn't know, but I just never grew out of it. And now I've kind of turned it into something. Like I have a podcast every week about wrestling figures. Now, like I make my own wrestling figures. I have my own toy company. So we're trying to break that stigma. Back in the day, you saw a 40-year-old virgin. The guy's a virgin. He's collected these toys. Trust me, I'm not a virgin. I'm making a lot of money on these toys. I'm also spending a lot, but it is what it is. It's a lot of fun.
So there is a demand for the old school wrestling toys.
Big demand, bro.
That's
big
cool.
demand.
Because like I almost wish, I remember years ago, you don't think of this shit. And I used to take care of my wrestling figures, like perfect. Right. I kept everything, like the old ring, the cages. I had the old cage, and I gave it to my friend's little brothers. And I remember my dad's like, you are definitely going to regret that. And guess what? He is right. I regret it.
That ring and that cage is worth a lot of money.
Because you know what he did with those toys, those kids? They ripped them apart in fucking 42 hours. I wanted to cry. I'm like, what the fuck? That's what I was going to say before. My brain goes all over the place when we do this, right?
Me too, bro.
Matt's Uncle Chris, boxing coach, boxed his whole life, super tough looking guy, super tough guy, but loves what? What's his real passion? Acting, right? So I'm sure 100% Matt has an acting story too with this. So I have an acting story with this.
Yeah.
So when I first joined the gym and I met Chris, I used to be huge and jacked. I don't know if you remember that or not. I used to be huge, right? And just talking and through personality, Matt, your Uncle Chris was like, dude, you should do this. You could do something with acting.
Yeah.
I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not for acting, right? He goes, I'm telling you, you got a good way about you. You could speak. So he sent me, he like not forced me. I was like, you know what? I'm in really good shape. I'm young still. I go, let me get some headshots, professional shots. So I have something to look back on this. Like, look at you little motherfuckers. This is what I used to look like,
Right.
So I did it, and it was pretty cool. It was like a whole day. This guy, Jordan Merritt, did a whole thing. It was really, really cool. I was like a celebrity in my own head for a day, And I sent out headshots, just a few, like my thing, so it's like 30 or 40 of them. And I got called in for like, I guess it'd be like interviews,
Right.
So the first one I ever went on, I sat down, And I was nervous. I never did this. And like he gave
Sure.
me, I said to Chris, I go, yo, they emailed me sides. I go, what is that? He goes, lines, you idiot. So we had to create like something for me to do, like sides to a play or something, right?
Right.
And it was a Marlon Brando, something about boxing. We practiced it a few times. I was a little nervous doing it. He goes, yo, don't even think about it, right? I went in, I sat down, and I was nervous. And I was like, not doing good. I go, hold on a second. I go, excuse me a second. I remember this. I stepped out of the room. I was like, yo, fuck it. Just go in and be yourself. I walked back in. I just started talking like us. I go, yo. I go, forget. And I started saying, yo, let's break out a couple glasses of wine. Yo, they loved me because I was just me. And they signed me to a contract right there. The first one I ever went on. I didn't know how strange that was. I went to Chris. I go, yo, they just signed me to a contract. He goes, get the fuck out of here. He goes, do you realize people send out thousands of these and do this for years? They don't get signed for anything, ever.
Right.
And I remember he was right because when I was talking to some people that Chris knew, I can't remember what it was. Or I was in a room. Or I went to the next one. Another like an audition I went to.
Right.
And I told people I got signed. I saw their face was like, you motherfucker, kind of a look on your face. Because I'm some fucking knucklehead from Long Island who speaks like this. And I got signed. So when I would go on these auditions, you know, like starving eyes, they would just pop you off. They'd send me an email or something, be like, yo, audition tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning, so-and-so. I'd be like, yo, I'm working construction. I can't just leave this job. Now, knowing where I'd be, I would have said, fuck you to these guys and go to the audition, you know?
Yeah.
But I almost came real close to a couple of parts on like an ESPN commercial and shit, but it was just a really, really cool experience. Like, who knows if I would have gas pedaled in that direction? It is a very hard industry.
Yes.
But that was definitely pretty cool that I did that. You know, it was a good experience.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. I mean, when I got signed to WWE, before that, I was so young, but I was at Gold's Gym. I was a personal trainer. I had 0 clients. I was just putting the 45s back, you know what I'm saying? Just keeping the gym clean. And I was a fucking delivering pizza and working at a deli. Like, those are the only jobs I had. And then, you know, there was a tryout, like an application on WWE.com. And I'd been wrestling for about like a year and a half. Like, I found a school in Hicksville. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I sign up to this fucking tryout? Whatever. I went. I thought I shit the bed. I'm like, whatever. It's cool. I got some experience. I'm fucking 20 years old. I'll get another tryout eventually. A couple of weeks later, I'm fucking pumping gas. I get a phone call. Oh, no, we want to sign you to a developmental contract. You got to move to Atlanta, Georgia. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, no, you didn't thought, no way.
I was like,
that's
well,
dope.
Here we go.
You had something. Like, you know, the look, the way you move. But, Joe, so what also, like, I'm sure obviously people know, though, like wrestling it's orchestrated, it's scripted, yes, but people think that it's totally fake and so it is. But what people probably don't realize is that you have huge dudes who are strong, and you have to be extremely athletic and be able to move. And like, dude, you get fucked up doing that shit. Because my training partner who I box with, who fought professionally, loves wrestling too. And dude, he did to those audition stuff. So I would hear all this from him. He's like, bro, and he would like say terms and stuff I learned. I can't even remember them now. But even like something about like gassing out.
Yes,
like in fight, we use we say he always gassed, but there was a term he used. I don't remember what it was.
Blown up? Is it blown up?
It might be that, but he's like, dude, you get fucking gassed out in it, and then you're kind of fucked in certain areas.
Oh, absolutely. You know? Yeah, listen, it's 2024 now. We all know it's sports entertainment. We all know that the outcome is predetermined, but nothing else. When people use the word fake, like, I don't even get mad. I just fucking roll my eyes and laugh. Because I guarantee that no fucking human would take a bump, fall on that mat over and over and over again and get up and say, okay, that's fake. No fucking way.
Dude, people don't realize what it's like. Like, dude, you're getting picked up and slammed on the mat and jumping off. Like, they don't even know what it feels like. I've gotten slammed on a mat before. Imagine doing that repeatedly. Or even though it's, you know, it's timed and you fall a certain way, but the falling repetitive over and over and over.
Even the strikes, like, okay, obviously, if it's me versus you and I'm going to punch you in the face, I'm not trying to break your nose. But this is live. There's people everywhere. I have to hit you.
Did you post someone a chest slap the other day?
Oh, yeah, that was some fan at one of our live podcasts. He wanted me to hit him, like chop him. I'm like, you really want me to chop you? Fine, I'll fucking do it. I don't care.
Yo, but that's real in wrestling, right? You really slap the shit out of the guy in the chest.
You have to. Because it's not like a movie where, you know, the camera's missing you, miss the face or miss the body or whatever. Like, you got to make contact. And listen, sometimes there's accidents happen. Sometimes you break your nose, chip a tooth. Luckily, I've been wrestling. This is my 20th year wrestling.
That's nuts.
I've only had 2 major injuries. I ruptured my patella tendon just during a match. Just nothing crazy. Just jumped up to do something, and like I felt like someone chop blocked me from behind. My kneecap just exploded.
You're like, oh shit, something blew out. Yeah,
that was fucking bad. And then a couple years ago, I was in just wrestling on the independents. Some kid did a little flip onto me. I was outside. He was inside. Did a little flip onto me. I caught him. Tore my bicep. I'm like, well, fuck.
You know,
And
that's
the big
years.
difference-
That's just years and years of wear and tear on your body too.
Yeah, and
Been
the
doing
thing
it for
is,
20 years.
in WWE, when you get hurt, okay, they'll pay for your injury. They'll pay for your surgery. They'll pay for your rehab. You're on the independents. You get hurt. Well, you're fucking shit out of luck, pal.
It's on you.
It's on you. But luckily, my whole character, my gimmick is a wise ass fucking trash talker. People were still bringing me to the shows even though I was injured just to fucking talk
That's dope.
shit. So
That's
I
crazy.
didn't miss any work. It was great. It all worked out.
This is a guy who's an introvert in public areas, and
I know.
and he's getting brought on to get paid to just talk shit. It's complete
It's
opposite.
wild.
It's nuts.
I mean, if we ever hang out one day, like if we're in a group of people, like I'm comfortable with you now, but like everybody else, I'd be like so fucking scared, and like that's just how I am.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know, so everyone knows about like the 80s wrestlers, right? And like that's when I was obsessed with wrestling.
Sure, larger than life guys.
Yeah, and you see the movie The Wrestler and stuff. So
Right.
obviously we all know, or maybe people don't know. I even knew before that movie that wrestlers lived a fucking wild ass motherfucking life.
Right.
Gasped at a party 24. I knew that, probably just because I was
Right.
so obsessed with it when I was younger. Now, I mentioned this before with fitness being so mainstream and health and all these motherfuckers on social media talking stuff. How much of that of the way they used to live is true and holds still today in comparison to now? Do they still live like that wild life, or is more fitness? Tell me.
So when I broke into WWE, it's 2007, and this is right after they just started the drug testing policy. Because before then, 80s, 90s, it was the fucking Wild West. You see some of those guys, and like it was just insane. They looked like action figures. They were human action figures, right? But the schedule was fucking nuts. They're drinking, they're doing drugs, they're doing like performance enhancing drugs. And unfortunately, you look how many of those guys that you watch growing up are no longer with us. They're
Heart attacks,
dead,
they're dead. A lot of them. That is true.
It's so fucking sad. So WWE, they started doing the drug testing, and I honestly believe it changed not only the business but saved so many lives. You know what I'm saying? Because now, when I first got on the road 2007, yeah, of course there was like some parties, like going after the shows and drinking, but now people are like playing their fucking video games. It's just a totally different atmosphere. And also, the age of social media with people in their you can't go out and do crazy shit
Like they used to.
People are going to film it. They're going to put it on fucking social media. So the business has totally changed. I mean, I think for the better in the sense that nobody's fucking dying, I think that's a good thing.
I mean, there's obviously guys still taking juice. They test for more do they do a whole entire like drug testing panel, like drugs, cocaine, steroids? They test for everything?
Bro, absolutely. So when I was there, I mean, so I'm there from 2007 to 2020. There are so many guys who get popped, suspended. I haven't been there since 2020, so I don't know if they make everything public now, but guys who'd be like, they're supposed to be in this title match. Nope, they're suspended. They fucking put it on WWE.com. They announce it, so like, it was like, to me, it was never worth it.
Yeah.
But also, if they never introduced that drug testing policy, like, I don't think a guy like me, my size, would ever made it in wrestling. You compare me now, I'm what, 6'1", 6'2", 225. Put me next to the Warlord or the Ultimate Warrior, I look like a little baby.
Yeah.
So it just changed like the business. So when I start, I keep saying it's 2007 I start, I'm like in the middle where like the old generation, there's still a couple of them like still there. So even when I'm there, I'm like looking up to all these guys, like literally and figuratively looking up to these guys. And then by the end, I'm like one of the bigger guys there, which is just crazy.
So the juice isn't nearly as rampant through the industry.
No, it's not. Of course, there's definitely exceptions, I'm sure, but like I would say it's so different. I don't want to say 100%, but I would say 99% different. Just the lifestyle, because now even me now, so I'm 38, right? Back in the day, if you were 38, you were like about to be washed up and done. You didn't take care of your body. Now there are guys like Chris Jericho, like in his 50s, still fucking moving on a weekly basis on TV, because everyone, thanks to the fitness industries too, everyone knows about the diet and how to take care of yourself, and not just the heavy lifting. It's the yoga and the stretching and whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's
everyone's taking care of themselves.
If you wrestled in that 80s, that you definitely would not be wrestling at 38 years old. You would have been partying. You would have been 260 pounds, eating Anadrols like Pez, completely
hard.
bald
Yeah.
by now, not that nice hair
Right.
you have.
Yeah.
All that, definitely a different day. So that was what I was getting at. So you still have a very extremely busy schedule with wrestling, though.
Yeah, so like I wrestle every weekend.
And you're still in very, very good shape. So my curiosity is how do you train during, like, I mean, let me ask you this about like wrestling,
Yeah.
right? It's a nonstop show year round, correct?
No off season. The only downtime you have is if you get hurt. That's it.
Okay. So since you have a consistent season all year and it's demanding, how do you train? Like, with weights, obviously.
Right.
But like, because like, you look like a bodybuilder, but like a very fit bodybuilder. And you have to kind of be like recovering. So it's very demanding physically. How do you train?
Right. Well, see, you can't look your best all year round because you need to. There's no way to maintain that. To me, I try to look pretty good all year round.
Yeah.
I don't want to look great in April and then kind of shitty in July and then decent. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find that happy medium, that balance. For me, like I'm not trying to break any powerlifting records in the gym. I don't care how strong I am. How strong do I look? You know what I'm saying? I want to look good. I want to function. And, now I just have my routine because I'm so used to it. I have a fucking LA Fitness membership. 9 times out of 10, there's an LA Fitness. I know what I'm going to get in that town. I wake up, fly out. All right, let me find a Denny's or an IHOP, get my breakfast, get out back, get some meals to go, or Chipotle, get some meals to go. Try to eat as healthy as I can on the road. Obviously, sometimes you're in fucking bumblefuck wherever, and you're fucking stuck at a gas station, rest stop, or McDonald's. You make do. You know what I'm saying?
You got to make do a lot of like every week you're traveling. Every week you're traveling.
Every week.
Every week you're on a plane going somewhere.
Every week.
That's fucking crazy. So you gotta figure it out on the fly and stay on that fucking line as best you can, even with training. So let me ask you this, like with your training regimen. So how many days a week, like practice? I'm just curious, and I'm asking for myself. I don't know if listeners are intrigued by this, but I fucking want to ask you this.
Right.
So I know you have a very demanding schedule, and how do you, and how often do you practice? Obviously, got to practice. And how often, like, what's your day?
Zero practice.
Zero.
So like I use, now everyone's different, right? Like there are schools all over the country, and I'm sure some guys who are even in WWE, use a ring on their off days. I use my matches as my practice, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And plus, like we talked about how I couldn't, be social in an environment where the camera was not on. I also can't take a fucking bump in a ring when the camera's not on. You know what I'm saying? When there's no adrenaline.
Sure.
Fuck no.
Yeah, it's just different.
Risk injury. You know what I'm saying?
Especially at 38.
Yeah.
It's like training different ways. You go like Bernard Hopkins. He boxed into his 50s, which is fucking crazy. And he goes, you learn how to train differently as you get older and train for being 50. So even like something like wrestling, I guess you got to like know how hard or if you did practice or when you should gas pedal it or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then for the matches in the ring, like I count that as my practice. As long as I'm fucking constant every week. If I have a weekend off, maybe I'd feel a little rusty. But 9 times out of 10, I'm on that weekend show, 2 shows, 3 shows. There's an exception where, okay, maybe one weekend I go on vacation, I don't work. Or I go to Australia for 2 weeks and wrestle every night. It's never the same schedule every week. And then as for lifting in the gym, I say I am going to lift 7 days a week because it doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have Monday I do legs because what if I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere, I can't find a fucking gym, or I overslept. So I'm not going to train 7 days a week. I say I'm gonna, but I'm not gonna. 4 or 5 maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was always interested in. So I always say this, I've been training extremely hard my whole life, and just because I'm obsessive only about a few things in my life, and weight training is one of them, the wear and tear just took on my body, and I got to start to digest that. I'm in my late 40s. I'm not 26 years old anymore, and I had to train differently. My body hurts. So like how you said you tore your bicep and your patella tendon, that's obviously some wear and tear. Do you feel this on your body as much, you know what I'm saying, all the years in wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I'm walking down the fucking stairs. I'm like, ooh, my fucking knee. I got to walk fucking like sideways and shit like that. I'm a little beat up, but I'm still going. But when that, like I said, when that bell rings and I hear the people, it's like I'm fucking Superman.
That's where the adrenaline starts to flow.
The adrenaline's just fucking flowing. And then, next day, shit. you know, it takes its toll on you. But luckily, like in the ring, I feel fine.
Do you wrestle differently when you were first started? Like, just say you were fighting the peak, like, you know, the Zack Ryder days?
No, that's one thing is like my style hasn't changed. There's some guys out there who do some incredible stuff, like high flying stuff, like all these flips off the ropes. That was never like my style.
What was your style?
Just kind of, I don't want to say just like average, but kind of could do a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Could do a little bit of everything. So like, if you watch me wrestle now and watch me, you know, 20 years ago, I think I'm even better now.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm
well,
saying?
of course, because it's 20 years of experience, though.
Yeah, that, and I've been able to maintain the same style where it's like not like I'm doing these crazy flips where like when I get older, I won't be able to do it.
Those guys
you know
don't last nearly as long.
No.
Yeah. So like I was thinking, like my favorite wrestler, of course, of all time was the Ultimate Warrior.
Absolutely.
He was fucking huge and shredded and was a complete maniac. That's why he is not on Earth anymore right now with us, you know?
Yeah, right.
So like back in those days, obviously he was using tons of shit, but he was burning out. You know what I mean? Just throwing his body around like a bag of potatoes with that crazy hair. You know, who the fuck doesn't like the Ultimate Warrior? You know, I want to put a picture of him on my wall. That's how much I like him. You know what I'm saying? Whenever my son breaks out his wrestling figures, I'm like, I'm the Ultimate Warrior. He knows that's my favorite guy, you know? I was always intrigued by that shit. I always loved it. And still, like, do you have kids or no?
I don't. No,
you don't have kids.
No kids yet.
So
no
you'll
kids
see
yet.
when your kids get into something, whatever, you just become engrossed into it again. Like,
Yes.
I'm starting to like wrestling again. Then like he's into the Legos. You start doing the shit.
Yes.
It's definitely cool. You know, that's why I'm getting into it more and more.
And that was my big thing as a kid, you know, like Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, these larger-than-life guys, you know, not only are they your toys, but they're real humans, right? Like Batman is not a real human. Superman is not a real human. Maybe you could see their show or their movie, but you can't go to the fucking Nassau Coliseum and see fucking Superman.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can go and see the Ultimate Warrior fucking run down that aisle, fucking shake those ropes. And that's why I was so in love with pro wrestling, because it was like this larger-than-life action movie, superhero, comic book, toy, all fucking rolled into one thing.
I have a question for you. Just thought of this. Wrestling, there's going to obviously come to a cap to it in your career when you're going to end wrestling, right?
Yeah.
What'd you plan on doing after wrestling?
So
Staying in the industry?
Crazy. I think I stay in the industry at some bit, but listen, I'll be honest with you. I fucking never finished college. This is my only fucking job, real job. Like I said before, I don't count fucking delivering pizzas. Like, you know, I wasn't going to make a living.
I know what you're
doing
saying.
that.
Yeah.
I had no plan B, you know what I'm saying, on purpose, because I needed this to work. I needed this to work. Even now, and maybe I should have a plan B, but I don't. I don't even.
You still love wrestling?
I fucking love it, and I love it
So
more
you're going to
than
stay
ever.
in it, bro. That's
I
all.
love it
You
more
love
than
it.
ever. You know, and now that I have a podcast about wrestling toys and my own toy company, which is like pretty surreal, but it's making money. I say crumbs make crumb cake. You know, not one avenue is making me all this money. A little here, a little there, a little there.
Boom, exactly.
And in this day and age, we could all do a little side hustle here and there. You know what I'm saying? And as long as I'm having fun, I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I can. I feel great. Like I said, I'd rather end my career maybe back in WWE in Madison Square Garden and not in some fucking high school gym.
You might.
That's the goal, right? That's the goal. But I don't think, like, even when I got fired, it was like, ooh, what can I do to get back to WWE? I never fucking thought.
No,
like
you just
that,
keep going and evolving in a different direction.
Sure.
So,
And like,
you know what I was going to say is this. Like, that's why I asked if you love wrestling, right? You're blessed in the fact that you're doing something you genuinely love.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like your Uncle Chris loved boxing, but he's doing something with acting. He's always loved it. That was his channel. And for me, right, I left construction. I didn't hate that job like I really say I always hate it. It just was not for me.
Wasn't your passion.
It wasn't my passion. So I was like,
Right.
you know what? I go around this motherfucker one time, right?
Yeah.
I would be fucking sick to my stomach if I didn't try and do something and gasp, which I know I have in me, at something I love. And it's working out so far. You know, I'm good at talking and shit, but I'm in the fitness circle. So that itself, you and I are very blessed in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think also because we're working our ass up, it doesn't feel like work because we love it.
Right.
We're putting in hours, we're sacrificing shit, but at the end of the day, we're fucking talking about what we love or doing what we love.
Exactly.
You know, we're thinking about what we love. So it doesn't feel like, you know, we're clocking it, doing a 9 to 5 or whatever. You go to construction. It doesn't feel like, oh, I can't wait for this day to end. It's like, well, fuck, I get to do this. I get to do that. And then you fucking start snowballing other fucking ideas of how you can make yourself bigger, your brand bigger. This other fucking thing, you can help this guy out.
You're going to do it
just
because
doesn't
it's your
stop.
passion. You're a smart guy. I hear the way you speak. you're probably going to maybe evolve even further this industry. Who knows what the future holds even after you take off the fucking reality. Holy shit, I should this early. I'm making even more money and more successful now doing this, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm in my late 40s, right? And I'm doing fitness now, and I'm thinking, I'm like, fuck, should I have done this 20 years ago? But I didn't have the knowledge and everything now. But you know what? I'm doing it now. And really, like, people like who have normal jobs, whatever, I get it. Listen, you look to the end and retire. But like, when I think of this, I go, there is no end for me. The end is when I hit the dirt, the hole in the dirt. That's the end of fitness for me. Other than that, I'm going to love this shit my whole life, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
No, absolutely. And like, you know, luckily, when I look back at my time in WWE, like I look at it, and of course there's some things I wish I would have done that differently. I wish I would have done this differently, that, but I can't think like in that way. You know, I have to be grateful for the time I had there, the moments I had there. I mean, fuck, I won the Intercontinental title at fucking WrestleMania, which is like, you know, a dream come true to have a WrestleMania moment. I fucking had one, and you'll probably appreciate this story. So WrestleMania at the time, it was WrestleMania 32, so it was about 8 years ago. It's in Dallas, Texas. My dad, crazy motherfucker, he buys the WrestleMania cowboy hat, right? Let's just put that to the side for a second. My dad's in the crowd wearing a WrestleMania cowboy hat. This particular match was a ladder match where you gotta climb the ladder, pull down the title. So I win it. All of a sudden, I see my dad just standing in the ring with the cowboy. He hopped the guardrail.
Yeah, I remember
slid in
that.
the ring, live. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I go down, I give him a big hug. He tries to put this fucking cowboy hat on my head. I'm like, get this shit off me.
Yeah.
This is my fucking moment. Get this cowboy hat off my head.
It's funny, man.
But it's moments like that where I look back, I'm like, it was fucking great. Great time.
Man. Absolutely. So listen, I got to close this off now. This was great right now when we were having the conversation. We should have did this fucking 20 minutes ago. We would have kept rolling. But Matt, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. And I want to do another one with you because we started rolling into something that was really good organically.
Yeah, part 2. Yes.
And we could speak about, you know, we were talking about wrestling and going all over the place, the act and stuff. But I think we found the area where you and I could go a little bit deeper on, which could like resonate with other people, is following what you want to do in life. And 100%. I really like that.
I think we're just two real guys, so we could just keep going all day. I think authenticity is key. Transparent. In this day and age, people could read through the bullshit, you know, and we're just two real guys who speak what's on our mind for better or worse, you know.
You know, and I do want to tell people to close, you know, before I close off, is that what we just start speaking about. And if you really do love something and you want to go after it and you have something in you, fucking just, give it a fucking shot. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Right, Matt?
I 100% agree, man. We only live one time. Let's fucking go for it. Dream big and fucking go for it. Start today, you know?
All right, bro. Thank you very much. And I want to have you want to do this again, bro. I appreciate it.
Let's go.
All right, brother.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Matt.